Okay, so we did online learning and we focus on environment and motivation and how that affects online learning.
So this slide just talks about motivation. So there are two different kinds of motivation that we talked about. We talked about academic motivation and personal motivation. And academic motivations just include like school and homework, whereas personal motivations can include exercise, your mental health, and just anything that kind of involves you rather than your academics. And then we talked about how motivation has been affected, by moving online for a couple different reasons. It is easier to slack off online because no one is physically there to pay attention to you. This means your motivation could This could mean that you no longer have the motivation to get your work done, and thus it is easier to fall behind because you don't necessarily have the commitment of going to class on a certain time if your classes weren't moved to Zoom.
Wait, is this me?
Mhm.
Oh, I thought it was okay. So, there's some good ways to certainly improve your motivation. Words are hard. Holding yourself accountable is one thing. Like I think that definitely helps. Make sure that you're actually like attending class and getting all your assignments completed. Shower. You can also just shower. You can also shower in the morning, just before your classes. Just make sure that you're up. You can make a schedule and make sure that you're actually sticking to it. Yeah, you definitely have to eat three meals a day, because having food is good. And try to do some exercises at home, because if you're just sitting around all day, you just need to get exercise, and it'll help improve your motivation as well.
So in terms of the pros and cons of moving online, we have come up with several pros and cons about moving online. For the pros, we have said such as increased sleep hours, increased family time, we can be in pajamas all day, we're not committed to being at every class on time, we have more flexibility with assignments, and we can sort of set our own schedule. On the other side, we have the cons, such as not being able to get out of bed that easy, lack of social interaction, lack of communication with professors, the feeling of increased amount of work, or the actual increase of work. The instructions for class and work are not entirely clear, not as engaging, and most important, decreased self-motivation.
Okay, so the next thing we focused on was the environment. Besides the fact that we have literally moved environments from a college campus to our homes, our environments have changed a lot. Many people have siblings, pets, parents, grandparents, significant others at home, and they have not had to deal with in college. Finding a designated area in your home to do your work can be extremely difficult, even if you have a desk, because others may need it for their work, but you also need it for your work. Environments can also be loud, from like pets or kids, little siblings, which can distract students from their work. Overall, environments affect our productivity, motivation, and our lives more than you think.
So some good ways to improve your environment are just designate a separate place to do work. Sit near a window, or even sit outside if you can. Distractions are certainly a problem. So definitely try to not have any of those. Play music that helps you focus, and write a to-do list that is specific to that day.
And here are some pros and cons of working from home. So the pros, you get to hang out with your pets and your family. You get to have at-home lunches, which is really nice. You have flexible work hours, so you can sleep in whenever you want. There's no commute time, so you can roll out of bed and go to class. And some people still get paid no matter what. Some cons are that there are many distractions. You also have to deal with cleaning and household chores. There's the lack of social interactions with your friends or people that you met in college that you might not see again. And there's no separation of school and personal life because you are in quarantine. And there's a decreased motivation to get work done.
Okay, so the first interview that we conducted was with my sister. I asked her, she's in high school. I asked her, how has your motivation increased or decreased due to the shift to online learning personally? So just to her. And she said, I have come to the point where I don't see some of my classes necessary. So I guess she's sort of saying that some of the classes that she doesn't really care about, it's not like worth it to her. She says, I'm in high school and some of my classes I never prioritize anyway due to the fact I'm planning on going to college for something else. And so it has decreased and I haven't seemed to learn anything. So I guess she's sort of saying that the classes that she never really cared about, it's even harder for her to stay motivated.
So the next interview was my friend who is also a high school senior. I asked, how has moving to classes online affected your motivation? And he said, it lowers my motivation to do work because I lack the guidance or structure that I have at school. And at home, I have a lot more distractions than I do in school. So I think what he's saying is that without the teachers there or your friends there, it's harder to find the structure in your life to be motivated. And another question I asked was, how has your mental health been affected by the situation? And he said, my stress levels are a little lower because I don't have a teacher breathing down my neck 24/7, but the state of the world brings the stress back up.
So my interview, my friend was also he's also a high school senior. I asked him how has moving to online classes affected you both positively and negatively. He said, one good thing that I have noticed is that I don't feel as pressured by my teachers to get my assignments done, and I have a little bit more flexibility. One bad thing is that I find it hard to motivate myself to continue putting in the same effort to my classes as I would if we were meeting in person, which I definitely agree with both the things.
So I have conducted my interview with my sister, who is currently a high school junior, and I asked the question, how does staying at home when not going to school physically affect your motivation? And the answer I've received is it definitely affects my motivation as I lose motivation to do homework. I never like doing homework, so staying at home makes it even worse because I feel like I'm no longer forced to do anything. Also, being in school, I can ask questions anytime. I don't have any class on Zoom, so I have to ask questions through email. That's tough.
So for me personally, my opinion and experience for going online, I've never been a good online learner. I've forever been bad at online tests, and I've been way better for online assignments on paper. And so trying to move not only like tests to online, but also trying to move classes to online, my focus and motivation has completely decreased. And I get major headaches from it, which also doesn't help. So the motivation of just being at home itself is decreased, but also not wanting to get on because it gives me major headaches also does not help for online.
So for me, throughout my time in school, I've had a hard time with concentration and motivation. I have ADHD, so it's hard for me to sit still, let alone do all my work online. At school, I typically sit towards the front of the class, if not first row, to make sure that my professor can see me so I do my work and pay attention. And my classes are not on Zoom like a lot of other people's are. They're all recorded lectures. So I have lost all interactions with my professors, and it has become increasingly harder to gain motivation to do my work. It gets extremely tedious to do the amount of work we're doing and to stay on top of everything when there's no real consequences if we don't. So overall, I don't really enjoy the online classes.
So kind of my opinion and experience, kind of the same thing. I mean, moving to online classes, I just don't really feel like I had to put in any effort to get my assignments done anymore. I mean, I find it hard to concentrate on doing classes. And I mean, just sitting there watching online lectures, I just don't feel like I'm really like, I don't feel like I'm really gaining anything. And I would just much prefer, in person classes because I can actually learn and I am engaged. And like Zoe, I'm just not really a huge fan of this whole online thing.
I have a slight different opinion. I think this is a great lesson for us because life is full of unknown. We live in a generation where we grew up not having a lot of difficulties. So this is like a brand new obstacle that we have to learn to get over. As we slowly start to enter society as adults, there are a great number of obstacles waiting for us. One of the responsibilities as college students is to experience. Think of this weird time as the first day entering college where one has to transition into a brand new lifestyle.
Cool. So overall, this was our experience with online learning and environment and motivation.